Hello, my name is Ariel Perez, and for my DIG3043 assignment today, the arcade game emulator, I'm going to be playing Space Invaders. Well, one thing I noticed about Space Invaders is the super simple graphics. Growing up in the early 2000s, games had pretty simple graphics compared to what I have today, compared to what we play with today, but nothing compared to this. It's incredible how simple the graphics. Each of the little alien ships only have two sprites, and they alternate between each while moving. It's incredibly simple. There's only three buttons that I can use to control what's going on. It's left, right, and shoot. It's incredibly simple, and I think that adds to the novelty of Space Invaders. It's incredibly simple, but you can have a lot of really good fun playing this game if you don't miss. Like I'm bad right now. Oh my god. So a big thing I notice is the replayability in this game. I was playing a while before beginning the recording, and I played what seemed like nothing, and I didn't realize like 30 minutes had passed of me just shooting aliens out of the sky. It was incredible how much time passed because of the level reset and just there's no cue to move on. It's one level, one test of skill, and it gets progressively harder without you even realizing it. And that's what I think is a great part of this game. The graphics are super simple. This game came out in the late 70s, I believe 1978. And it's incredible to see how far gaming has come from, for example, this to a God of War on the PS4 with the on the PlayStation 4 with its incredible landscapes and rich story. It's incredible to see how far gaming has come. Another thing that I really enjoy seeing is the progression of video games and video game culture itself into mainstream pop culture. Um, when I was growing up playing, for example, Pokemon, I remember being very young and playing Pokemon Yellow on my uncle's hand-me-down Game Boy, the old brick, the original. It's incredible to see how far we've come, and I remember it being so niche, like people not knowing what it was, people criticizing me for playing something like that, the turn-based Pokemon fighting, and now it's like everywhere. You see it with Pokemon Go, for example, how it swept the world by storm. It took the world by storm and became super popular, even with people who weren't proclaimed video gamers. And I feel like over recent years, video gaming has become more of a accepted norm in society, as like it's like made its way into our pop culture. For example, with games like Fortnite, which bridge the gap, in my opinion, bridge the gap with hardcore players like the Shroud or the Mist, with casual players who just want to pick up a game and enjoy it with their friends. It's a really simple game to get into, but a really complicated game when it comes to building and stuff like that. Like building and the combat in the game as well can be extremely complicated in the way that you construct stuff. But the game in itself is pretty simple compared to other games like a Civilization and stuff. I feel like in recent years we've seen video games take over pop culture, and I feel like that is really like a really great thing. This Space Invaders itself has so much replayability. I've gone through 4 levels already, and it doesn't feel like it. It's a really addicting experience, and I guess it's because of the way it was designed for players to want to top their score and become better in the arcades. I remember being younger with my stepdad getting one of the arcade boxes and downloading a million emulators for like a ton of different arcade games like Dig Dug or Space Invaders. We had Galaga, Pac-Man. It was incredibly fun. I remember as a younger kid playing Frogger on this old Atari box, like not Atari, but it was like a box that you would just hook up with AV cables to the computer and play it and stuff like that. And playing Zork for the class and discussing it, like I can see the how video games have come from what they were back in the 70s, 80s, and even 50s and 60s to what it is today, with multi-million-dollar franchises popping up, huge companies with multiple IPs, such as Bethesda with for example, Fallout and the Elder Scrolls series, CD Projekt Red with Cyberpunk 2077, The Witcher, and all these things becoming a lot more mainstream and super popular. It's incredible to see how, like, growing up, I was able to witness it myself. The stark contrast of how it used to be growing up, where barely anybody played video games, and was a really niche sort of hobby for me. And now it's like very mainstream to see a lot of people playing it. Even athletes, like professional athletes in the NBA or the NFL, who log in and play Fortnite, or for example, Imagine Dragons, the band that plays League of Legends together. These games that you wouldn't expect. Well, in previous years, I would never expect people like that to play it. Like professional athletes playing these video games. It's bridging. It's a great bridge between people. It's a great bridge between people of all different walks of life. Back then, the nerd stereotype and the jock stereotype in movies and stuff like that as well. Like, I see that becoming less and less common because gaming is becoming more of a gaming itself is becoming a more popular thing, more popular pastime, and I really think that's a great thing. Oh, and I'm the graphics are super simple and have evolved from something as simple as this, or something with no graphics at all like Zork, to games like The Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda: The Breath of the Wild, which has a vast, expansive open world map where you can continually play and explore new areas. Like, I've played through the game 3 or 4 times, and I still haven't discovered everything there is to discover in that game, which is incredible. God of War with its beautiful Nordic landscapes. Horizon Zero Dawn, another great game. And it's incredible to think that technology has advanced so quickly that we're able to see something like Space Invaders or Galaga turning into something akin to Breath of the Wild, a God of War. How not even just the graphics, but the gameplay and the complexity of the game has increased over time and has encapsulated the world in its like in its culture. Gaming culture has seeped into pop culture to the point where now there's professional video game players who make a living off of either streaming or playing professionally, like the for example, the League of Legends World Series, the World Championship, where like the prize pool is about $1 million or maybe even more. We're seeing this become more mainstream and more popular, and I feel like it is a great transition, especially since back in the age of like the Space Invaders, it was very niche and not as many people were enjoying these video games. And now it's become video games are becoming more geared towards a casual experience as well. But there's also the niche, that niche environment is still there for very competitive games, such as you can draw the comparison between Smash Bros. Melee and Smash Bros. Brawl for the GameCube and Wii respectively. How Melee had a much faster rate of play and a much faster speed and advanced techniques, and Brawl on the Wii was more geared towards the casual players, the family man, the families who were just getting a Wii for like the family aspect and were new to video games, and it slowed it down. And I feel like over time, because of this gearing towards the casual gamer, the less experienced gamer, we've come to see a much bigger audience accepting video games into pop culture, and the pop culture of video games and the culture of video games has transitioned its way, has made its way into popular culture as we see today. Thank you.